My name is Pastor David, and for over 30 years, I have walked between two worlds, the sacred pages of Scripture and the living soil beneath our feet. I have sat beside the sick, prayed over the suffering, and asked God the same question millions ask today. Why are we still so broken when you have already provided everything we need? And then one morning, deep in the Word, the answer appeared not in a vision, not in a miracle, but in a meadow, a roadside ditch, a garden just outside the back door. Friends, I need you to listen to me very carefully today. What if I told you that the most powerful medicines on earth have never required a prescription? That long before the pharmaceutical giants built their empires, God had already placed his pharmacy in the wild places, in the very same herbs, roots, and plants referenced alongside the biblical foods that sustained his people for thousands of years. These aren't folk tales. These aren't old wives' stories. These are documented, clinically validated botanical healers, forgotten not because they failed us, but because you cannot patent a wildflower. Today, I'm going to walk you through 20 of them. 20 sacred plants that mended soldiers on blood-soaked fields, sustained families through famine, and carried the wounded back from the edge of death long before a single hospital ever existed. Pay close attention to number 17. Used faithfully for over 2 millennia, modern science has now confirmed it can defeat drug-resistant bacteria that even our strongest antibiotics cannot touch. And number 20, the one that likely grows wild, just steps from your front door, served as God's original blueprint for what we now call aspirin. Except the original is far more gentle and complete than anything man has ever manufactured. Stay with me, because by the time we are finished today, you will never look at a roadside weed or your Creator's natural world the same way again. Let us begin. Imagine if the most potent remedies weren't hidden behind a counter, but thrived in the humble soil of roadside ditches and your own garden. These are the sacred botanicals our ancestors held dear, passed down through generations of wisdom. These wonders mended soldiers on blood-soaked fields and sustained families for centuries, long before modern clinics existed. Many today are lost, rushing for chemical fixes at the first sign of a cough or ache, unaware of the grace beneath their feet. Yet, these ancient healers have stood the test of time, now backed by rigorous clinical evidence proving their divine design for health. Today, I shall reveal 20 such plants that will fundamentally transform your understanding of the Creator's natural pharmacy. Pay close attention to number 17. Used for 2 millennia, modern science now confirms it defeats even the most stubborn, drug-resistant bacteria. And number 20? It served as nature's original blueprint for aspirin ages ago, and it likely grows wild just steps from your door. Join our community by subscribing, as we share weekly insights to reclaim your vitality and steward your health wisely. Let us begin our journey into these living miracles. Witness 20 forgotten healers, ranked from the truly impressive to the downright miraculous. First, consider Calendula, often called the pot marigold. This radiant bloom carries one of history's most respected reputations in the healing arts. In times of old, warriors carried these golden petals into battle to dress wounds and staunch the flow of blood. It earned the title the warflower because in the absence of all else, it provided hope and protection. Without surgeons or sterile tools, Calendula kept infection at bay, ensuring a clean and swift recovery for the wounded. Known scientifically as Calendula officinalis, it flourishes in simple soil, offering bright orange and yellow blossoms until the first frost. Do not be fooled by its beauty. These flowers are medicinal giants, with modern science validating the wisdom of ancient warriors. Clinical evidence confirms that its extracts drastically accelerate the closure of burns and surgical incisions. It works by stimulating tissue regeneration and calming the fire of inflammation. Here is the secret behind its power. These petals are rich in triterpenoids and flavonoids, natural compounds gifted with profound antimicrobial and soothing properties. By infusing dried blooms into oil, you create a sacred salve that mends cuts, scrapes, and scorched skin with remarkable speed. Why was such a wonder forgotten? The answer is simple and worldly. Corporate giants cannot own a patent on a wildflower, yet Calendula remains a free gift of healing for all who seek it. It is essentially a natural emergency room, waiting patiently in the garden for us to remember its God-given purpose. Number 2. Sea Buckthorn, the legendary skin restorer from the heights of the Himalayas. This thorny bush, laden with vibrant orange fruit, may be the most overlooked super medicine in existence. For ages, traditional healers in Tibet and Russia have utilized these berries to restore the body's delicate membranes and skin. Today, modern researchers are finally acknowledging the profound depth of this ancient earth-based wisdom. Known as Hippophae rhamnoides, its berries are so dense with nutrients that even cosmonauts use them to shield against radiation in space. Human trials now demonstrate that its oil fortifies the skin's defenses and heals parched, irritated tissues from within. It brings relief to everything from dry, tired eyes to deep-seated tissue inflammation. Let me explain what makes this plant truly extraordinary. The oil carries a rare omega-7 fatty acid that nourishes the very lining of your body, as proven in recent clinical studies. It effectively treats eczema, dermatitis, and the systemic dryness that often accompanies the later stages of life. It vanished from the West, largely due to its preference for harsh, remote peaks like the Himalayas and Siberia. Yet, it can be cultivated in cold soil, and its concentrated oil is now a blessing available to all. For those suffering from chronic inflammation or brittle skin, this plant offers a path to restoration. Sea buckthorn does not merely mask symptoms, it initiates a deep, internal healing process that few man-made creams can match. It is a resilient repair system found in a berry. Next, at number 3, we find Comfrey, the famed bone knitter. Comfrey possesses one of the most descriptive names in the history of herbalism: knit, bone. For centuries, its roots and leaves were applied to fractures and sprains, with many testifying to its miraculous speed. Scientific scrutiny has since proven these ancient claims to be entirely accurate. This plant, Symphytum officinale, contains allantoin, a substance that commands your cells to multiply and mend damage rapidly. Rigorous trials show that topical extracts significantly diminish pain and restore movement in cases of back injury and joint distress. We are looking at peer-reviewed evidence confirming that Comfrey is a true vessel of natural restorative power. Take heed, this sacred healer is strictly for outer skin applications. Its pyrrolizidine alkaloids harm the liver if ingested, yet offer divine restoration when applied as a topical ointment or poultice. For topical needs, it remains exceptionally potent. Steep its dried roots in oil with beeswax to craft a miraculous healing balm. This gift faded from memory due to safety warnings and a modern medical shift toward rigid casts and radiographic imaging, casting aside God's greenery. Yet, for the constant trials of sprains, strains, and bruises, it remains nature's swiftest restorative force. Regard it as a botanical commander, instructing your flesh to mend with supernatural speed. 4. Mullein, the great purifier of the breath. You likely know this towering sentinel by its velvet leaves and golden floral spire, standing guard in empty fields and byways. For centuries, it served as the premier tonic for heavy chests, stubborn coughs, and the many afflictions of the respiratory path. The verbascum family was so revered for the breath that ancient healers dubbed it the lung's truest companion. Within its leaves lie saponins, natural cleansers that expel stagnation before it can fester into deep-seated illness. Modern science now validates its power to soothe inflammation and combat microbes within our breathing passages. Ancestral wisdom suggests steeping the dried foliage into a warming infusion, filtering it meticulously to remove fine down, then partaking 2 or 3 times daily for relief. While rare today, the ancients occasionally inhaled its smoke to open constricted airways. Its blossoms even healed the ears, yet its light dimmed as synthetic syrups and modern tablets took center stage, though these chemical masks often silence the symptom while ignoring the underlying impurity. Mullein empowers the body's innate design to expel waste, offering purity without the burden of man-made side effects. When the chest is burdened and the breath is heavy with congestion, this humble herb remains abundant and free, performing its ancient miracles just as it did for centuries. See it as a heavenly restoration crew, ever present and waiting for you to reclaim this forgotten blessing. 5. The humble plantain, a roadside physician hidden in plain sight, overlooked by many who tread upon it. Distinct from the tropical fruit of the same name, this low-lying herb, with ribbed leaves and slender stalks, thrives wherever the earth has been disturbed. It is a premier survival tool. Indigenous peoples called it the white man's footprint, as it followed every pioneer trail. Yet, they soon discovered that this modest growth could mend wounds, soothe stings, and halt infections more effectively than many manufactured remedies. Academic scrutiny confirms its worth, proving its ability to close wounds, quell swelling, and destroy harmful bacteria. In clinical trials, plantain ointments outperformed standard protocols in repairing second-degree burns. Its vibrant leaves harbor secrets that calm the fires of inflammation, stanch the flow of blood, and shield us from rot. Observe its timeless application. Macerate a fresh leaf to release its essence and place it on the wound. Swiftly, the agony and puffiness shall recede. A potent infusion of its dried form serves as a cleansing wash or a healing bath for troubled skin. We ignored it because it is ubiquitous, a mere weed beneath our boots. The world teaches us that healing must be costly and complex, not found in the cracks of a humble walkway. Yet for every small sting or burn, this plant provides instant, cost-free, and divine restoration. It is an omnipresent infirmary, kneeling at your feet, awaiting the moment you require its grace. 6. Yarrow, the warrior's herb, gifted with the power to seal wounds and accelerate the clotting of blood. Research identifies its hemostatic nature, stopping the red flow while simultaneously cooling inflammation and repairing tissue. Historically, legionnaires carried this dried treasure to the battlefield, for its efficacy in trauma was legendary. Spanning continents, it offers clusters of ivory or rose-hued blooms atop sturdy, reaching stems. Every part reaching for the sun holds virtue. An infusion can break a fever and soothe internal discord. Alternatively, press the bruised leaves against a laceration to halt the bleeding and ward off impurity. What distinguishes yarrow is its dual nature. It acts as both a blood stopper and a master of wound closure. While most herbs offer a single virtue, yarrow possesses a dual grace. Ancient practitioners relied upon its strength for cooling fevers and soothing the weary belly. This humble weed vanished from our cupboards only when man-made agents took its place. Yet, for the traveler walking the valley or the woodsman, its presence is a blessing. Knowing that yarrow stands ready to seal a bleeding wound in mere moments is a wisdom every steward of the land should possess. It is as if the Creator placed a physician in your pocket, one that flourishes freely beneath the open sky. Seventh on our list is self-heal, the miracle whose very name reveals its divine purpose. Known as heal, all by our forefathers, this plant signifies the deep trust they placed in nature's bounty. Our ancestors looked to this herb for every blemish and scar, whether for a raw throat or a parched mouth. The people's faith in this remedy was so profound, they gave it the most certain name in medicine. Today's science is finally catching up to the wisdom of the ancients, proving that their faith was well placed. Laboratory findings confirm its power to mend the flesh and quiet the fires of internal inflammation. It even breaks through the stubborn barriers that bacteria build, those fortresses that make sickness so difficult to cast out. The old ways involved rinsing the mouth, bruising the leaves for the skin, or drinking a restorative tea to calm the inward parts. This humble servant grows low in the meadows, lifting purple crowns to the bees. Every fiber of its being is meant for our restoration. Prepare a potent infusion to cleanse canker sores, or apply its fresh crushed leaves to life's minor scrapes and cuts. Truly, remarkable is how it treats the delicate linings of our being, working wonders where other remedies fail to reach. It brings grace to the mouth and throat, soothing the very places that are often the hardest to mend. A simple gargle shared as a gift from the garden can restore peace to a troubled throat in just a few hours. Self-heal faded into the shadows only because it grows too freely for the masters of industry to claim it for profit. For the weary throat, it remains a steadfast guardian. It is the plant that took the calling of healing and made it its very identity. Eighth, we find agrimony, the balm for the weary voice. This was a treasure to the medieval healers, a chosen remedy for the gates of the body, the mouth, and the digestive path. Adorned with golden blossoms, it has long served as a holy rinse for the throat and a gentle tea for the troubled spirit of the gut. Chronicles of old speak of its waters clearing the breath and calming the fires of the airway. From the swelling of the throat to the burdens of the tonsils, it offered relief. It mends the voice and the inner organs alike, using its natural tannins to tighten and restore what has become slack and inflamed. Observe the traditional path of its use. One would steep the dried stems and leaves into a robust tea, using it as a repeated rinse to draw out the heat of a sore throat. That same brew, when taken slowly, firms the inner walls and brings order back to a restless stomach. Agrimony thrives in the sunlight of the meadow and the shade of the wood, offering its yellow light throughout the summer. We harvest what grows above the earth to dry for our cups. Its flavor is subtle, a pleasant bitterness that feels like true medicine. Its memory faded as we turned to harsher, more aggressive ways, and as the art of the herbal rinse was cast aside. Yet, for the nagging ache in the throat, it remains a soft and sure comfort. Especially when the breath is heavy and the throat irritated, agrimony offers a gentle, healing touch. It is a lozenge provided by the earth, one that mends rather than merely masking the pain. Ninth, we have white horehound, nature's original comfort for the chest. Long before the chemist's shop, there were the sweets of the horehound plant. This herb was so effective for the lungs that it was crafted into candies and sold in every small town store throughout the 1900s. This herb is a faithful expectorant, helping the body cast off the heavy burden of mucus and congestion. Even today, the great pharmacies of Europe look to it to create syrups that clear the chest and soothe the cough. Within its leaves lies marubine, a compound designed to break up the heaviness and let the breath flow free again. It grows as a silver-green bush, its fuzzy leaves and white flowers a testament to its humble strength. The ancients would dry the plant and steep it with honey, or boil it down into a dark, sugar-sweetened candy to keep the lungs clear. Understand what sets this wild remedy apart from the modern pills that merely silence the cough. it does not seek to muzzle your body's natural response. Instead, it empowers the lungs to purge the darkness of infection. This is the difference between hiding a symptom and finding true restoration. White horehound was pushed aside by synthetic mixtures that dominate our markets today. But those man-made answers often carry hidden costs and do little to speed the day of your true healing. Horehound persists in our gardens, a humble gift that transforms a dry, painful rattle into a clearing breath. It is a remedy that seeks your restoration, not just your silence. 10th on our list is Boneset, a true warrior against the plague of fever. We now approach the most potent wonders of the natural world. In the 1800s, this herb, known scientifically as Eupatorium perfoliatum, was a staple in every home for when the body began to ache. It earned its name by mending those who felt their very frames were breaking under the weight of illness. During the great trials of the 19th century influenza, this plant stood as a vital pillar of health. Families would brew the dried blossoms into a steaming tonic at the first shiver or sign of exhaustion. Historical records honor it as a powerful vessel for breaking fevers and awakening the body's own defenses. You will find it flourishing near quiet streams in late summer, wearing a crown of white flowers. Despite the lack of modern laboratory validation, we gather its leaves and stems while in bloom, though the resulting brew carries a sharp, disciplining bitterness. Many find the flavor challenging, yet our ancestors understood that this very intensity was the sign of its strength. The old ways teach us to drink a hot cup, retreat to the sanctuary of your bed, and let the fever pass through you. This botanical ally encourages the soul's temple to mount a vigorous response against the intruder. Many souls have witnessed its power to halt a sickness before it could take a firm hold. Modern tinctures and needles have pushed it into the shadows. Yet for the seasonal trials we face, Boneset remains a steadfast guardian. Be prepared, for its taste is as rugged as the spirit it heals, especially when you are at your lowest. Truth be told, the most effective balms are often the hardest to swallow, yet they provide the deepest grace. If these truths resonate with your spirit and you hunger for the ancient paths of wellness, I ask for your support. Please offer a sign of your appreciation by clicking that like button now. Your action helps us reach others who are weary of synthetic fixes and long for the timeless healing of the earth. If you feel called to walk this journey with us, join our fold by subscribing and sounding the bell. We are gathering a community of wise stewards who choose the depth of natural wisdom over the fleeting ease of the world. Let us proceed, for the most miraculous revelations are yet to be shared. 11th, we consider blue vervain, the quiet shepherd of a troubled mind. Its history is truly profound. It is a nervine, a botanical balm designed to steady the shaking heart and fortify the nervous system. For generations, verbena has been the answer for those burdened by restless nights, heavy hearts, and the weight of worry. It addresses the very shadows of anxiety that seem to haunt our modern age more than ever before. Wise healers of old prescribed vervain, for the tightly wound those whose thoughts race like a flood they cannot stem. Even modern observation suggests its ability to dissolve tension and quiet the storm within, without dulling the mind. It stands tall in the damp earth, offering spikes of violet blooms to the summer sky. We dry the whole plant for a tea that is admittedly harsh, often tempered with a drop of honey's sweetness. This is how the elders would apply this remedy. Sip it as the sun sets to release the day's burdens, or whenever the spirit feels frayed by the world's demands. It does not force you into slumber, but gently invites your system to find its center once again. Man-made sedatives have obscured this gift, yet those often lead to a cycle of dependence and heavy side effects. Vervain provides a more compassionate path through the valleys of stress and everyday strain. It is the perfect companion for the daily trials that threaten to overwhelm a peaceful heart. Think of it as a comforting presence reminding you to breathe. 12th, we find Elecampane, the deep restorer of the breath. This is where we witness nature's most profound strength in mending the lung. Inula helenium was the ancient answer for those suffering from deep, persistent congestion that refused to leave the chest. Within its sturdy roots lie powerful agents that soothe the cough and cleanse the breath of hidden pathogens. It is widely recognized for its ability to support those struggling with long-term respiratory burdens. Modern science is finally confirming what the old ways always knew regarding its power against infection. This majestic plant reaches toward the heavens with broad leaves and radiant sun-colored blossoms. We unearth its thick roots in the autumn, brewing them into a warming aromatic tonic that speaks of old-world strength. Wisdom dictates a gentle hand. For deep-seated respiratory ailments, one must administer modest, frequent helpings over many months. This is no fleeting remedy, but a profound restorative that nurtures the breath of life within your very core. The ancients often paired this botanical with fellow lung healers to drive out the most stubborn spirits of infection. This sacred root, Elecampane, vanished from our tables simply because modern hearts lack the patience for slow grace. It mends with a steady, deliberate pace rather than a sudden burst, while many chose the swift, albeit superficial, path of modern chemicals. Yet, Elecampane bestows a blessing no man-made pill can claim, the actual restoration and fortification of the lungs' delicate walls. It does more than fight the enemy. It repairs the very soil of the body. Next, we consider the 13th wonder, the toothache plant. Truly, this herb is nature's own anesthetic, a gift that fulfills its promise with startling, immediate power. Known to the learned as spilanthes, it carries a secret compound called spilanthol that sets the mouth tingling before silence falls. Merely crush a fresh bloom or leaf between your teeth, and within heartbeats, a profound numbness will wash over you. Since days of old, healers have called upon it to soothe aching teeth, angry ulcers, and the fire of a raw throat. Modern science now bows to this wisdom, confirming its ability to still pain and act as a local shield against suffering. The plant itself stands humble and low, crowned with crimson and gold blossoms that mirror tiny vessels from another world. While the flower holds the highest concentration of this peace-giving essence, the green leaves also share the burden. You can cultivate this treasure with ease in sun-drenched soil, or even within a simple vessel on your porch. When pain first strikes the jaw or an ulcer flares, let the essence of a fresh flower coat the wound for 30 minutes of respite. Though it does not strike the root of the illness, it grants a season of peace while you seek a deeper cure. This wonder faded from Western memory only because we grew reliant on the sterile gels of the marketplace. But for those who walk the path of natural relief, or find themselves in a wilderness of pain without help, this botanical is a miracle to behold, leaving every first-time seeker in utter disbelief at its potency. Imagine a dentist's strongest numbing agent growing wild in your garden, ready for when a stray bite brings sorrow. Our 14th ally is the Oregon grape, the great restorer of the skin, a prickly evergreen draped in yellow gold and indigo fruit. Beneath its thorny exterior, the Mahonia species carries a profound medicinal virtue that sets it apart. It stands as a rare beacon in the herbal world, supported by firm clinical proof for the mending of chronic skin plagues like psoriasis. Countless inquiries have testified that an extract of this plant brings remarkable solace to those suffering from scales and dermatitis. Rich in berberine and sacred alkaloids, it acts as a cooling balm against the heat of infection and inflammation. The elders used it both as a topical ointment for the flesh and a bitter tonic for the inner workings of the belly. The medicinal gold lies within the vivid yellow bark of its roots. From this, one can craft a healing salve for the skin. Do not expect a miracle in a moment. Faithfulness over several weeks is required to see the true transformation of the body. We know that eczema and psoriasis are heavy crosses to bear, often defying the most expensive of worldly treatments. Oregon grape provides a God-given alternative, validated not just by tradition, but by the rigorous scrutiny of modern science. It was lost to many simply because it chose to grow in the distant Pacific Northwest, far from the common traveler. Yet, for any soul struggling with the fire and scales of inflamed skin, this herb is a treasure worth seeking. It is the botanical remedy that even modern doctors are beginning to acknowledge with quiet respect. Next is the 15th, yellow dock. A steadfast friend to the liver, this is what the herbalists of old called a blood purifier, an agent of internal cleansing. In truth, it acts as a servant to the body, helping our earthly vessels process and cast out the impurities that weigh us down. For generations, the root of the rumex plant has been the answer to a stagnant gut and the burden of constipation. Its fibers are steeped in bitter virtues that stir the bile and awaken the dormant fires of digestion. The researchers of our day agree that yellow dock serves the liver with great devotion. It clears the path for better digestion and heals the skin by purifying the wellspring within. Though its story is told through ancient lore and early studies, its truth remains. It grows tall and resilient with a deep, reaching root. One must harvest this root when the leaves fall, drying it to prepare a humble tea or a concentrated tincture. The flavor is a sharp, bitter reminder of its power, a bitterness that commands the stomach to begin its holy work. The old way is simple: small, rhythmic helpings of this root to cleanse the liver and bring ease to the movements of the body. Through the years, chronic skin issues often vanished as digestive health found a new balance. Since our exterior mirrors internal wellness, this golden root was sidelined by modern chemical purgatives. Harsh drugs coerce the flesh, yet yellow dock whispers to your body's innate wisdom. This plant refuses to do your labor. It merely reminds the body how to function. 16. The forest's own cure. Usnea isn't actually a typical member of the flora. This lichen drapes from branches like silvery tresses, earning the title Old Man's Beard. Within this modest growth lies a potent remedy, essential for any natural first aid. Rich in usacinic acid, these species possess a sacred strength against microscopic invaders. Research confirms its power against fierce bacteria that resist even modern pharmacy drugs. Historically, one bruised the fresh lichen for wounds or brewed a purifying wash. Look for it in the pristine air of mountain peaks or the lush northwest. It matures slowly and must be gathered with deep respect for nature's pace. Take only what the wind has dropped, extracting its essence in spirits for healing. Here is how the wanderers of old used this wilderness gift. If wounded on the trail, moistened lichen serves as a living, protective, antiseptic shield. Science validates this wasn't mere folklore. It truly battles infection despite being often overlooked. For the adventurer seeking a natural topical defense, Usnea remains a fascinating discovery. It is like a potent healer hanging from boughs, waiting for us to remember. 17. Barberry, the ancient sentinel. I spoke of this one just moments ago. Used for over 2,000 years, science now proves it defeats the toughest modern superbugs. Barberry contains berberine, a golden compound now celebrated in the halls of modern research. This substance has a documented ability to cleanse the body of harmful microscopic intruders. It calms internal fires, and restores the gut, especially during bouts of infectious distress. Recent insights even reveal its power to balance the body's metabolic foundations. It stabilizes sugar and fats, continuing a legacy from ancient Persia and the East. The vibrant yellow heart of its roots holds the highest concentration of this virtue. Receive its gifts through a bitter tea, a tincture, or a refined herbal extract. That sharp bitterness is the key that awakens the body's natural digestive grace. It is a rare treasure where ancestral wisdom and modern data speak one truth. Science now echoes what healers always knew regarding its protective and cleansing nature. The evidence is undeniable. Yet barberry was nearly forgotten by the Western world. Its prickly thorns and the allure of synthetic drugs caused many to turn away. But as modern pills fail us, we are looking back to this berberine-rich guardian. This primordial medicine is becoming the new frontier as our chemical options vanish. 18. Red clover, the meadow's quiet healer. Many dismiss this as a common weed. Yet Trifolium pratense has served as a source of restoration for hundreds of years. It specifically tends to the skin and supports the unique journey of women's health. Within its petals are isoflavones, gentle compounds that harmonize with our natural rhythms. It soothes the heat of later years and clears the complexion of chronic irritations. These soft blossoms harbor a quiet strength that calms the fires of internal inflammation. Gather from unsullied fields to brew a tea that is mild and slightly sweet. Some choose to steep them in oil, creating a balm to bring skin peace. Traditionally, red clover is a patient companion, requiring weeks of use to weave restoration. It isn't a temporary plaster, but a profound nourishment that heals through the years. This crimson blossom faded from memory because the Creator scattered it so generously across our path. We are conditioned to value only the rare, neglecting the divine healing blooming in our own common pastures. For the seasons of womanhood or persistent skin ailments, red clover remains a gentle and holy balm. It is a medicinal tapestry at our feet. 19. Sassafras, the storied conqueror of rising heat and fever. Sassafras holds a complex legacy. Ancient tribes sought its roots for aching limbs long before modern sodas arrived. Its spicy, aromatic roots were once guarded as one of the most precious gifts of the earth. Historically, it was revered for quelling the fire of a fever, easing the burden of joint pain and digestive storms with its vibrant, warming essence. But heed this wisdom. Sassafras contains a specific element known as safrole, which in high amounts can burden the liver, leading modern hands to use it with great caution. Thus, sassafras has become more of a lesson in history than a daily remedy. It is a fascinating study of nature's power, though prudence advises against frequent internal use today. The old virtues were real, yet we now possess the scientific light to walk more safely. This serves as a beautiful testament to how ancient wisdom and modern inquiry walk together. Tradition reveals where the treasure lies, while science teaches us how to steward it without peril. Sassafras reminds us that even nature's bounty requires a discerning heart and careful measure. It teaches respect for heritage and safety. 20. Meadowsweet, the true precursor to modern aspirin. We reach our final entry, number 20, which encapsulates the spirit of our entire journey together. Consider Filipendula ulmaria. Long before synthetic pills, the faithful used this plant for pain and gut distress. Listen closely to this remarkable chronicle of healing. This herb is rich in salicylates, the divine blueprint for the pain relievers we know today, while chemists eventually mimicked its essence to create tablets. They left behind a vital secret. Meadowsweet soothes the stomach, even as it quells pain, unlike the harsh versions created by man. One harvests its delicate flowers and foliage to be dried for a restorative, holy infusion. Its sweet, almond-scented tea is scientifically proven to quiet the fires of inflammation within. For generations, it has been a comfort for weary heads, stiff joints, and the fire of illness, plus an uneasy gut. It thrives in damp earth, lifting ivory clouds of fragrance toward heaven. It was the cornerstone of European healing for centuries before the rise of the modern laboratory. It is the perfect conclusion, showing how we often take a gift of creation, isolate its power, and create something far less harmonious than the original design. The whole herb offers solace for the body without wounding the stomach's fragile lining. Such is the brilliance of the wild. The original formulation is rarely improved by human hands. Meadowsweet was cast aside. Once standardized pills became cheap and abundant in every marketplace. But for those seeking a more balanced, gentle path to relief from pain and swelling, it still grows in quiet ditches, performing the same miracles it has for ages. It is the primordial medicine, waiting for us to remember that the natural way is often superior. If these forgotten wonders have enlightened your spirit today, please show your support with a like. Your engagement allows this humble mission to reach more souls with the wisdom of the earth. Please share in the comments which of these plants you feel led to investigate further. Are you seeking skin healing or ancient comfort? I cherish reading every single word you write. If you haven't joined this journey toward natural wisdom, I invite you to do so now. Subscribe and awaken the notification bell so you stay connected to these earthly revelations.